watch a lot of other calisthenic athletes and how they train. The training is always like attempts, try to do the skill, technical cue, technical work afterwards, like as back off work. And then I end my training with basics. So I still do basics. Like I still do some sort of push-ups, pull-ups, rows, dips, and I do it about 4 times a week. So like I'm always living in a constant state of soreness.
Well,
what's the difference between like cupping, scraping, putting your elbow in there? You know, what's the difference? And it's like, the thing I tell people is like, all these are just tools. You can try dry needling, acupuncture as well. And every body is different. And so every body is gonna respond different to all these modalities. You have to try all of them, kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Question was gonna be, do you find yourself like overwhelming people with the information that you're giving them? And if so, how do you kind of like make that information more accessible?
I'm a big proponent of don't talk at people, talk with people. Can't really be like, well, this is what you need to do. It's like, maybe this is what happened and this is what caused this pain, but maybe if you just adjust this, maybe you'll see an improvement, you know? And so it's really kind of just being very human. Taking out, because like someone comes at me with something specific, and I do see myself sometimes wanting to become a robot and kind of be like, well, I understand that the levator muscle, this is the function of what it does, and but then I have to like, okay, breathe. It's like, okay, you're fine. It's understand and kind of mean them. It's like, well, you know what's funny? Levator rhymes with Darth Vader, so that's how I remember this muscle.
I love that. All right, Matt. So the way that we start the episodes here, I like to ask everybody what they had for breakfast this morning. So what'd you have for breakfast?
I fast. So I had coffee.
So what time do you have your first meal?
Usually right now, but I always adjust it. But I usually like whatever time I wake up, I wait about 5 to 6 hours, and then I just kind of go from there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I usually like to train like in the afternoons, and so if I train fasted, I don't really care because I'm used to it. But usually they'll have like a piece of fruit or something, you know, protein shake, that kind of thing.
Okay, and that's usually what time is it right now? Like 2?
Yep, 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. So you're like a 2 meal a day kind of guy?
Yeah,
or what?
2 meal a day kind of guy.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I used to do a lot of fasting, not as much anymore. But I remember back in the day, I would do a lot of like 24 plus hour fasts. Not necessarily every day. I guess you do more of an intermittent daily fast.
For sure.
But no, like longer fasts. And some of my best workouts, some of my PRs actually were like 20 plus hours fasted.
That's interesting.
So I should, do that more often. But I don't know. It's just way harder now.
Eating's cool.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. I love
pretty dope.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's much harder for me to do it now.
Yeah, I not to go on a side tangent, but for me it was like I used to be like one of those hardcore people that was like I had to be on the dot, on the minute, this and that. But like
with your meals,
with my meals and stuff like that. But like over time, I've maintained this physique for like, I don't know, however long now. And I just kind of came to the realization like, it doesn't really matter what time I start eating as long as it's just like eventually.
Yeah. I mean, we talk to people about that all the time. People want to do fasting and they think it's some secret sauce, and there's really no secret to it. What it does is it helps you control your calories.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. And so if that technique works for you, if eating twice a day, as long as you're getting a sufficient amount of protein, you said a lot of times you start it with the protein shake. And so it's helping you get to those protein goals, keeping your calories under control.
Pretty much it.
You're going to be in a good spot.
Yeah. I used to be definitely like more like a powerlifter, bodybuilder kind of guy.
Okay.
Like I used to weigh like 185.
Wow. And what do you weigh now?
140.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I have to be for my sport.
Which is what?
Calisthenics.
Okay.
Yeah. So like doing the crazy planches and front levers and like the iron cross and stuff like that.
I'm not familiar with a planche. What is that?
You think like a push-up, the top of a push-up, right?
Okay.
Your arms are out, but your feet are levitating.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick. I like how he described it too.
Yeah. Levitating.
Yeah, your feet are literally like floating.
And you're doing a push-up? You're doing push-ups?
Like your hands are like this, like right by your hips.
Okay.
So your hands are here, and then your feet are levitating.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. I've seen some of your videos, about the crazy stuff you do in your living room. Tell us about that setup you have.
Oh, yeah. So when my dad was a gymnast, and so when I was like 13 or something, I'll never forget. I always had like bad eating habits. And I remember one day I was in the kitchen or something, and he was like, "You've been doing your push-ups? You've been doing your pull-ups?"
How old were you?
I think I was 13.
Okay.
And I was like, "No, I'm just gonna go play video games or something." He was like, he got mad, and he was like, I'll never forget this. He goes, "The day you get beat up, do not come crying to me about it."
Dude, what a father figure.
Wise words from a decent
my dad was in law
man.
enforcement, so like I grew up. There was no sneaking out. There was nothing like that.
Okay.
And so he encouraged me to like start doing like pull-ups, push-ups, stuff like that. And then he wanted to get me into like doing handstands and doing some like gymnastic stuff. And then so that was around the age when I started like to kind of get into it. And then later on, I found bodybuilding, got into powerlifting, meshed my way all the way around through all of them. And then I think I ended up back at like gymnastic calisthenics stuff around 20 years old.
Okay.
And I've realized like any sport with a ball, I'm terrible. I look like an old person out in the field, dude. But like for some reason, fighting and balancing on my hands, I'm all for it. I'm good to go. Like, and I don't know why that is.
So if there's a field involved, you're picking flowers.
Yes, a balloon, yeah.
But if there's a ring involved, that's more your style.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like we're tussling. Okay, let's go. You know.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Nice. How'd you find this? What you do now? You're a licensed massage therapist, technically, right? And this overall body work situation, was it an injury that you sustained yourself, or like what led you to what you do now?
So this kind of goes back to the calisthenics thing. And I even said this when I was in massage school. I'm still sort of on this journey of like self-discovery with all this body work stuff too.
Because you're still young too, right?
Yeah.
How old are you?
24.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a baby, dude. I was 21. I was competing in calisthenics. If you don't know, the way calisthenics works is it's like a form of gymnastics. They put you and another competitor against each other in front of a bunch of gymnastic apparatuses. And so you're like, okay, you have a minute to do as many gymnastic elements as possible. Go. Just have freestyle, like go for it. That's how it works. And so I was doing the iron cross on the rings, and I got to like right here, and I heard in my like rotator cuff. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, this is weird. Like I never really sustained or broken an arm before or anything like that. At that moment I did. And so through the process and like the year, I think it was like 2 years long journey of like trying to heal it. Even now I still have like little nagging things like scar tissue and stuff like that in actually this rotator cuff too. But like through that journey, I was like trying to learn and understand movement and trying to understand how do I like fix this, because I can go to a physical therapist. They're saying maybe surgery, they're saying, this and that, but really I need to do my own homework and rehab to understand like how to fix this and like also prevent it from happening. Like I could have prevented it from happening, had I taken better with my training and understanding movement. And so then I met another massage therapist, shout out Kyle Dew. He worked on my shoulder, and he showed me this really interesting technique that I do on it still for people that have the same injury. And so it really like blew my mind up to like, whoa, wait, his scope of practice is so cool that he was showing me like exercises and rehabilitation stuff that I could do for my arm and my injury. And then he was like, you should go get your license. And I was like, I think I will. And so that's kind of how it started for me.
And how long ago was this?
This was back in like 2023.
Okay, so just a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I attended San Jack South, and they had an awesome program. They taught us a lot of cool modalities, and then that kind of just planted the seed that is growing now for me. And yeah.
So professionally, you do your licensed massage therapist, but then recreationally, you do this. You compete in calisthenics still?
Oh yeah.
I'd like to, I want to definitely learn more about your professional work, but I'm just interested in this competing in calisthenics thing. I'm not going to lie. Kind of sounds like the X Games. It's like 60 seconds, give us the best you got, and then you get a score. Is that?
Definitely. Yeah. So like the planche, the one that we were talking about with feet lifting, there's like certain little cues and form cues that you have to like do. I actually have a coach. His name's Chris over in Austin. Coach Mantis, shout out if he's watching. But that guy, like, he will basically, I'll send him like an idea of like a basic program. He'll get it and he'll be like, tweak it a little bit. And he's like, okay, run this for like a block, And so it's very like, it's like a mix between like Olympic weightlifting sort of style training with some endurance, So like once you have like a set date for a competition, it's like it changes. And so like the training might go from like doing, okay, practice your holds of the planche itself, practice like going from a planche, pressing to a handstand for reps, and, doing different like variations with sets and reps. But then once you get a competition time frame, then it's like, okay, now it's like practice actually like as if like simulating like going out there.
Yeah. The specificity gets.
Yes, definitely. And so, It's one of those sports where I've met a lot of calisthenic athletes that go into bodywork actually, because you have to have a level of understanding of movement for it. It's not like bodybuilding where it's kind of one dimensional. Like, these are my curls, 3 sets of 12, these are my, my lateral raises. It's more like, well, when I planche, I know I have to protract. And then I have to look in the mirror, and if I'm not protracting right, then I have to look at my limb length. And if I understand my limb length, then maybe I can understand my serratus anterior and how to activate it better. So it's a very big, deeper level of understanding. So I meet a lot of calisthenic athletes that go to PT, become chiropractors, become bodywork.
Are there a lot of injuries?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The iron cross, I'm surprised that I actually had the injury back here on like where it's called the infraspinatus muscle. But usually it's around the elbow area that you would see it, because you're like, you know what I mean? You have to have like a hyperextended arm out kind of thing. But definitely bicep tears, like huge. There's a very viral video going around right now where a gymnast is doing a Maltese on the rings. That's like a planche, but like you're like right here, like by your hips.
Okay.
And literally they caught it on camera, his bicep like breaking.
And it rolls up.
It rolls up real quick. And like,
I've not seen this particular video, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh my goodness. If you find it, that'd be cool to pull
yeah.
up. But
I'll put it in there.
Yeah. But like, it's one of those things. And like, he like runs off to the side, and like, he's just like holding his arm, and he's like very stoic, just holding it. But like, it happens a lot. And so,
Yeah, I think the main difference here, like in bodybuilding, which I'm not a bodybuilding person. Right. I know the basics of the sports, but in bodybuilding, you're isolating each body part, right? So you have a particular exercise for each body part. And that actually, until you get to the highest levels, bodybuilding is actually pretty safe.
Yes.
And that's why here, as a personal trainer, I do recommend a lot of bodybuilding style workouts sometimes because they're safe. You're isolating one thing at a time. You know exactly what you're doing. It's usually not too complicated to get in that particular body position. But with what you're talking about, it's extremely complex, and you have multiple muscles working at the same time. And something that I often talk to people about is you will feel, I don't necessarily use the word pain, but in an injury case, it is pain. You will feel pain in the weakest link, right? So if you're working multiple muscles at the same time, that weakest part could be exposed because that weak part is being relied upon for the entire weight of your body.
Yes.
You know, and that's definitely what's going on in that iron cross situation that you're talking about.
Yeah. Also, I did get an iron cross eventually. It took it like 3 years later, but I can hold it now.
Yeah, one thing about calisthenic people for sure, and again, I'm not an expert by any means, is the amount of time and dedication that it takes to do what you guys consider the fundamentals of calisthenics. Like the fundamental things of calisthenics are extremely difficult.
Right.
How do you like map out that journey?
You know, in a traditional sense, they're going to say things like, well, you start off with the basics, like push-ups, pull-ups, dips, and rows, which is what my dad had me doing, right? At 13 years old. And then do it else, you're going to get beat up, right?
That's no best.
Did you ever like just break out into a fight and you just like bust out some dips or something? It's like, I'm gonna get you.
He's like, no. He gets beat up. He's like, thanks, Dad. The dips didn't do anything.
Dips didn't work. Yeah, should have taught me how to box or something, right?
Yeah, Dad. I broke down into a push-up and he kicked me in the face. What did I know what to do?
But no. So everyone's gonna say basics, right? You get good with basics. You get a good idea of like just slinging around your body weight for reps, and then they're gonna say like the progressions of the planche, like a tuck planche, and then like a advanced tuck, and then you go to a straddle where your legs are like out, and stuff like that. But like really, the human body is so much more complex than that. We're also individual. My arm length is different than your arm length. My torso length is different than your torso length. That's going to impact how you get the planche and how I get the planche. The way I get it is not at all the same way that you can get it. So like your journey is going to be different to getting it than mine because of those things. So a lot of calisthenic people, they don't train legs.
At all?
I don't train legs at all. I can't. Because it adds too much weight to the wrong side of the lever.
I see.
Like this right here, right? It's a balance. It's physics.
Yeah.
Right. So there's weight here, so it's dipping down this way, like this. Same thing with legs and a planche.
Okay.
So if you add too much weight to the wrong side of the pendulum, you're gonna dip and it's gonna make it harder.
Sean, this guy just changed my life. I'm switching to calisthenics. No legs, dude.
No legs.
Any chance to not do legs?
No squats, no lunges.
You should see. There's a guy. His name is Levin on Instagram. He's a French static athlete, so he trains only like planches and front levers and stuff. He's literally just back, shoulders, and arms. That's it.
Wow.
Like no chest. He has abs and stuff, but like no legs. Just literally like his arms are like the size of our heads, and like that's it. It's a very funky looking build.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, even for your that's an extreme example, but
Yes.
even for yourself, and don't take this the wrong way, but are you concerned about imbalances or possibility of injury in your lower body or anything as you get older?
As I get older, I'm going to obviously stop this sport, right?
Okay.
And then that's when I would incorporate just basic like pistol squats or Bulgarian split squats or something, something like that. Because I think, and I was talking to my coach about this, I plan to do this I'm 24, probably for another 10 years. And that's going to be tough because that same guy that I just talked about, Levin, he's actually going through an injury right now. He just tore his bicep.
Okay.
So and that guy's 30, you know what I mean? And he's super strong, but like once you kind of hit 30 for most sports, you're kind of pushing it,
right,
you know? So it's like, I plan maybe to do this for maybe another 10 years. And then once I kind of start slowing down and seeing probably more injuries, I'm just going to go back to basics. Like, put on a weight vest, get all push-ups, dips, push-ups, rows, air squats, pistol squats, Bulgarian split squats. Just stick with that.
So right now, what percentage of your training is like sport specific for calisthenics versus using dumbbells, barbells, or other modalities?
I'll give it like a template of
Sure,
kind of how I train. So basically, it's like it'll be like body weight attempts of a skill that I'm trying to do. Right now, it's like the full planche. So I'll lean in and I'll hold it for as long as I can, or I might lean in and I might do a planche and I press up into a handstand and try to lower back down and control the negative. And I might do that for like 2-3 sets, something like that. So something very challenging. And then I do back off work where you use, and this is going to sound funky, you get a resistance band. Hang it up on a pull-up bar overhead, you wrap the resistance band around your waist, and then you perform the movement. So it's taking weight off of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's where it becomes very technical.
Right.
And like almost like Olympic weightlifting, right? Because you're using very, very specific technical amount of exercises to try to master that movement. And so you do it, you hold it, you track like your sets and reps of like whatever you're trying to do. So I might do that press to handstand thing, but with the resistance band, might go for 3 sets, 3 to 5 reps, right? Progress the overload. It's a very funky way to progress the overload, right? Because in basic bodybuilding, it's like, well, next week I did 3 sets of 12 with 50 pounds to try to go up to 55, right?
Right.
In this instance, it's like just try to add reps using this resistance band around my hips, and stuff like that. So it's different.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I'm glad you bring that up because, oftentimes I'm educating people about progressive overload. And I like to remind them progressive overload can happen in a lot of ways.
Yes.
It can happen in weight. It can happen in reps. It can happen in sets, which equates to total volume is another way. It can be amount of volume in a given amount of time. So same volume in less time.
Density.
That is intensity.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's intensity. So
Exactly.
there's so many ways to overload, and I love learning about the ways that different people do it because at the end of the day, strength and resistance training is all the same.
Right.
Whether you're using your body weight, you're using bands, you're using dumbbells, barbells.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're breaking down muscle tissue. And rebuilding it to make it stronger.
Oh, absolutely. I was just listening to a podcast this morning, or the powerlifting diet. Like these 2 powerlifters got together, and I was like, this really interests me because they don't really need a diet like a bodybuilder, but they need to still. They were talking about how it's very important to get your protein in. Like don't just eat 30 grams of protein for the day, and you're like, okay, well, I upped my bench by 10 pounds, but like you probably could have upped it a little bit more if you had your protein, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's something like that, and so. I watch a lot of other calisthenic athletes and how they train. So the training is always like, attempts, try to do the skill, technical work afterwards, like as back off work. And then I end my training with basics. So I still do basics. Like I still do some sort of push-ups, pull-ups, rows, dips. And I do it about 4 times a week. So like I'm always living in a constant state of soreness.
Yeah. Well, your job, maybe this is a good way for us to transition into like what you do professionally,
right.
Is very physical as well.
It is.
Right. So maybe break down what a typical day looks like for you. Like how many people are you working on? Like what kind of stuff are you doing? The modalities that you're using. I've seen some of your videos where it looks like you're like those cups, dude. I've seen you put them on yourself, I think even in one of the videos, but I've seen you put on some people like in their lats.
Yes.
And dude, that looks intense. So tell us like what a day looks like, what kind of stuff you're doing, what kind of people you're working on. And then I would like to wrap back around to, was it Kevin? Was Kevin Doe? Is that what you said his name was?
Yes.
Was the guy that helped you overcome your injury? So I'd like to wrap...
Kyle.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. I'd like to wrap back around eventually to like how you overcame that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But tell us what a typical day looks like for you.
So, I see about 4 to 6 people every day.
Okay.
Right. And so each one of those sessions, it's like, once we get in the room, the first thing I ask is what's going on, and, it always varies, but like the person, the reason I stopped using the title of massage therapist in my own private practice.
So what title do you use?
Bodywork specialist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the reason I started saying that more is I actually found that originally through a guy in California who labels himself as a bodywork specialist, who he puts all his work on YouTube. And I just was like, oh, and I like the work that he does. And I started seeing that he does the cupping and the scraping and stuff. And so the sessions are really more like fixing or focusing, really. They're focused sessions, not more so, because when the second you say massage, I just noticed that people instantly think that lights are gonna be off, candles are on, and you're or something, and it's like
rocks.
So and I'm like, this isn't my style. I don't really do this. So my style is like, what's going on, right? And so once we get in the room and you tell me like when we have numbness in my fingers, right? Or maybe I did sustain an injury like the one I had, or maybe I'm an athlete and I do this, maybe it's my big toe or something, plantar fasciitis, whatever it may be, I just make sure I'm listening. Whatever you say to me, I say it back. And then, okay, I try to understand and try to ask a lot of questions. And then I use basically the scraping. So scraping is, it's an acronym, I.a.s.t.m, Instrument Assisted Soft Tissue Mobilization. I hold 2 certifications in it, one by Rock Blades, another one by Biologics. And so essentially it's this stainless steel tool, kind of looks like a spoon in some instances, but they can also look like torture devices. As I've been told.
Those are the ones that I prefer.
Some people see them, like they're like laying on my table and they're like, are you gonna like beat me up? Like what's going on here?
Sean's like, please.
I show up in like a leather gimp suit. I'm like, what's up, man? I unzipped.
It's like, what's going on here? But yeah, so like there are these, but the main, function in the scientific reasoning behind them is that you're really just trying to give back range of motion and decrease inflammation that the person may be going through, and while they do look scary, there is a way to use them to be in a way that to relax the muscles, right? Same with the cupping. So when people ask me, what's the difference between like cupping, scraping, putting your elbow in there, what's the difference? And it's like, the thing I tell people is like, all these are just tools, right? You can try dry needling, acupuncture as well. And every body is different. And so every body is going to respond different to all these modalities. You have to try all of them, kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks. If I have a lot of people who come to me and they're like, I don't really like the cupping, it kind of freaks me out, whatever. I'm like, well, let's try scraping. Okay. And then I have a lot of people are like, no, that's awesome. Like,
so each one of these things are doing the same thing or no?
Roughly. They can have some overlap.
Okay.
Right. But the main function of what they're trying to accomplish is individually different.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the difference? Because it sounds like your 2 main modalities are going to be your hand.
Yes.
When you call that manual therapy. Right? And then the cupping and then the scraping, the I.a.s.t.m.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So can you tell us the difference between those 3 things?
Absolutely.
And how they work different and who you'd use them for?
We'll start with scraping.
Okay.
So scraping is the act of like, as if I got like a butter knife right here and like the dull edge of it and I was just doing like this, right? It's also known as gua sha, which translates for to scrape in Chinese. Yes. And so the difference is just rationale, right? Gua sha is kind of more used for beauty and cosmetics.
Okay.
So they use it on the face, right? Things like that. In a clinical setting, we're going to say, I.a.s.t.m, scraper, right? And so the difference is when you use it, it's going to create some inflammation. You get what's called petechiae on the skin. It looks like blood vessels are forming. You know, we've seen it as a kid, we fall and playing at the playground, you fall, you get a scrape, right? That's why it's called scrape. Right. So there you go. And so you get it, and it causes that inflammation. And when you work out, right, you get sore, right? But then a couple of days later, what happens? It goes away, and you get a little bit stronger over time, right? So we're creating a response along the fascia, right, and along the trigger points, the knots, and we're creating a response to sort of put nutrient supply back in there while also putting a bit of more blood flow, giving more range of motion. Think of it like this: someone comes to me, and I do what's called a snow angel test. Right. I'm sorry. Is it okay, Sean?
No, you're good. You're good.
I was like, oh, don't break it in here. This guy's coming here.
You break it, you buy it.
All right. No problem.
You almost went home with a tripod and a mic, man.
So like a snow angel test, right? So you come up like this, and I kind of see if the ear matches up to the arm here.
Okay.
But some people cannot do that, right? They can't reach overhead. They don't have that range of motion. So maybe I mobilize your arm, have you lay face down, face up. I mobilize, you bring your arm overhead, I scrape along the lats, and I do some motion with it. You know, do that for a little bit, maybe 5 minutes or something like that. Then you might get that range of motion back. And I've seen it happen, you know. And so that's scraping.
Okay.
Cupping is the opposite of compression. So compressing, being smaller, right? Muscles, when you lay, a good example, you lay on your side. Right. So when you lay on like one side for too long, the muscles actually become very noticeably compressed. Maybe not to you when you look in the mirror, because we live in our bodies every single day, wake up or in here, right? We don't really notice. It's so easy for us to not notice those things. But I notice it because I understand, obviously, anatomy. And so a good way that I can tell is when I put somebody's arm behind their back and then I drop the elbow, I'll see their scapula pop out. The little bone, right? And depending on how much it pops out, and then upon further palpation and like kind of feeling it out, you can actually get an idea of like, okay, maybe they do sleep on this side. And then I ask them, hey, do you sleep on this side? You know, and then 9 times out of 10, I'm kind of right. Right? I have been wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'll ask, you know, do you sleep on this side? Usually I'm right. And then I'm like, okay, so what I can do is put the cups on there. And then the cups, they call it myofascial decompression. So fascia, right, is part of the muscle, right, the encasing of the muscle. It's connective tissue. It's wrapped around our entire bodies, but it reacts to stress. Eustress, de-stress, doesn't matter. It's just stress. And so it can get tight, wound up, things like that, and cause that range of motion, like we talked about earlier with scraping, to get decreased. You know, you've probably never had somebody go in there with a scraper or cup it. So when you take the cup, and you put it like, let's say, along the shoulder blades here, the rhomboids, the upper traps, things like that. And I do this movement called seatbelt. Put the cups in the back, they bring the arm out to the side, and they bring the arm like this. So we're stretching all that fascia. After doing that for about 2 to 5 minutes, you take the cups off. Well, now guess what? Feel better.
So the cups are creating a stretch, and then you're actually stretching it to make a deeper stretch than what would have been possible without the cups. Is that
exactly
the basics?
Yeah, you could have been stretching without the cups, and then, you know, okay, but like adding that decompression to it at the same time adds another element to it that's going to give you that almost instant relief. Yeah. And they do another form of it called loading, myofascial decompression loading. So I have one video actually on my Instagram. I had a bodybuilder. We did some cups on his lats because he had something going on with his lats. And then I had him do some dumbbell rows at the same time with the cups on. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like you take them off and then boom, you know, that pain is gone, you know, and it's like, awesome, cool. That was helpful. That was beneficial for him. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And how do you make that decision just based upon what the person's comfortable with or what the problem is?
Exactly. I listen to obviously the problem, right? You come to me, you know, okay, it's something going on with this muscle up here, man. I just sat at a desk all day, this and that, right? Oh man, it's just like this. And then so it's like, okay, well, let's put a couple cups in there and I might have you just do this kind of movement right here. Just very simple, just this movement, just like this, with the cups on, the levator scap, and then do that for a little bit, take the cups off, maybe scrape it a little bit, do this at the same time. You leave feeling like, oh crap, that feels a lot better. But so the decision is made based upon what they tell me in that moment. And obviously I'm very vocal in my sessions to just be like, look, feel uncomfortable, please let me know, right? Is this okay if we do the session like this? Is it okay if like, we move the head in this direction, that kind of thing? And it's just really, it comes down to the person and like in this session, like what are they coming in for? And like, all that kind of thing.
And then the last bit would be the manual therapy.
Right.
Which sounds probably more similar to the scraping, but tell us the difference between, I guess, manual therapy and the scraping.
Manual therapy, good old thumb, elbow, fist, right? So many different types, right? You have effleurage, right? Which is just like...
What is this?
This is effleurage right here. So this is just like, as if like a good old...
Like casting a spell on him?
Yeah. You could. It kind of looks like it, right? Yeah. But like, if you're like just simple rubbing. Right, just simple rubbing.
Gotcha.
Or have you ever seen a cat like when they wake up in the morning? They do this.
I was not getting simple rubbing from that at all.
Me neither.
He's like getting like a spell.
Casting a spell on you.
Yeah.
Sir effleurage.
It kind of does look like it. Though. Like, if you see other people do it,
Okay, I guess I've never actually, I've never seen someone perform a professional massage. To be honest,
You probably like had massages.
Yeah,
but, like,
exactly.
Never seen it. But like, there's one kneading, right? So like kneading's like this, right? So we had a teacher at Sanjak. She was called it like kneading dough.
Yeah.
Right. Like that.
Yeah.
And then but I utilize a lot of like pin and stretches, right?
A lot of what?
Pin and stretches.
Okay.
So this is a good form of manual therapy, right? So the chest muscle, right? Can do this, right? Chest fly, right? But if I put my thumb in here and I come out, give it a nice stretch, pin, stretch.
Okay, I got you.
Dude,
I understand.
I've done that with we have like the PVC pipes out here, and we'll use those for stretching. And I've like put a lacrosse ball at the end, and like before like a push day, I'll like kind of pin it into my like front lat, and I'll just like kind of go through the motion. And it feels really good.
Really loosens it up.
It feels really, really
but
good.
having an assistance,
Exactly.
having a third party like do that for you to get your arm in just the right position. I'm sure there's a ton of benefits to that.
Ton of benefits to it. And then like there's the thing about what's cool about manual therapy is like I could do that with you seated. I could do it with you laying prone. I could do it with you laying face up, face down, side lying, and you're going to get a different sensation in each one of those positions. So it's about, this is also, again, where it becomes so individual. Every body is different. You just have to try it. Like, okay, you're not really getting this sensation of like relief laying or sitting on the side. So let's go have you lay on your side. Let's try it like this.
And can you tell pretty immediately, like if that person is getting the effect?
I mean, they teach
or can they tell, I guess? Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm very vocal, right? So I'm like, hey, how's that feeling to you? And they're like, I don't really feel anything. It's like, okay, well, then let's try it like this then. Let's switch positions and let's try it like this, So then that's how I know. One of the things they teach us, or that I learned from one of the scraping courses that I took was it's kind of like a buy-in period. We talked about the scraper tools looking scary, right? So in rock tape is one of the certifications that I hold for scraping. They said, okay, use the weight of the actual tool that you're holding. Don't hold it like a freaking brass knuckle, right? Hold it like as if like they call it feathering, right? Okay. So it's like you're like almost like painting, right? And so let the weight of the tool do the scraping for you. That way it looks non-threatening. Because the second you come at somebody with this brass knuckle looking thing, they're like,
I don't know. It might make Sean excited.
I don't know, man. It's a Saturday night, bro. It's get wild.
It's like that's what it's like. Yeah, I like my license. I want to keep it. So anyway, but no. So basically, they talk about it, but they said if you do start using on somebody, pay attention to like their eyes. Pay attention to like look at them, like their body language. They do teach that in the rock tape, courses that I took. And it was funny because they said obviously don't look at them in the eye like real creepy. I mean, like, how does this feel? It's like, I might not come back to you. I don't know now. Right.
Well, I felt great.
I was like, that guy was kind of weird.
Right.
But so they do talk about that in the course. But like that goes with manual therapy, that goes with scraping, that goes with cupping, and so that is also a big aspect of the job too. Is just making sure that the person is comfortable,
right?
Because it's important, It's like I want people to come back, So,
I mean, you want people to. Same with when people come here to the gym. We're all about making people feel good when they walk in. So like cleanliness, organization,
definitely.
All those types of things are extremely important. And it shows people that you're a professional person. Yes. If you can take care of your surroundings, you can take care of them. And they're spending their hard-earned money with you, so they want to be taken care of. Yeah, for sure.
Kind of a side tangent about that. This morning, I had to go get my oil changed.
Okay.
And I was there, and it's the usual spot that I usually go to, but I just waited by like the lobby area, and I'm just chilling there on my phone, this and that. The guy comes in, he's like, "Hey man, so we had to pull your car out. We had to move it over to this other side of the building because the one car where you were at, they needed a vehicle inspection, so I had to move your car over. That's why I had to move your car over." I didn't even notice he did that. And I told him, I was like, "I didn't even notice you moved my car." And then he just kind of laughed. And I kind of went, "But the fact that you came in here, told me that's why, shows your professionalism. So thank you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I had to think about
communicate.
Yes,
with
exactly.
People can be really helpful in a professional setting.
When I stretch people, I'm big on that. There's a lot of, it can be awkward. Like
Sure.
you're kind of on top of somebody sometimes in some situations, right? Like it's
Right.
like it's manual therapy. So it's like, I'll literally, if I'm going to put my hand somewhere on a certain body part to stretch something, I'll be like, and my right hand is going to be on your anterior delt. Is that okay? Okay. All right, here we go. Now let's do the stretch. How does that feel? Does that feel okay? Like I'm always saying that whether I do 4 sessions a day, whether I do 6 sessions a day, with every single person, I'm asking all those questions.
Right.
Because if I don't, it's kind of like goes back to that guy like looking at you in the eyes, like, "Is this okay?" It's like,
Here in a personal training setting, we use what we call the 2-finger methods, where we show. It's like, say where you're teaching someone to deadlift, right? And you're talking about getting the hips back. So you show the fingers. And then you get in there and move. You know what I'm saying?
Like
so
that.
that lets them know, hey, I'm coming to touch you, right? And obviously, if it's a male to a female situation, it's a little different, right? So, you might not actually touch, but it's the professionalism and you're letting them know, hey, I'm going in there.
Okay.
Right? So that 2-finger method for us as personal trainers works really well.
Yeah. I used to do some PT work.
Okay.
And they never told me that. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, most of the things, I did learn personal training from another place that I worked at.
Cool. Gotcha.
I worked there. I did personal training part-time for a few years before I quit my job to do it full-time, which has been almost 7 years ago. So I did learn some things, but I mean, most of what I've learned is just come from experience and doing it and honestly messing up and figuring out. So if you mess up and someone gives you feedback, even if they never come back, maybe you lose a customer because of some negative feedback, but you learn something from it.
Yeah.
And off the top of my head, I can't remember a situation where I necessarily lost a client because of a touching situation, but you just think through like, all right, how can I made someone feel uncomfortable? How can I make them feel more comfortable? Is by going, hey, I'm coming in there. And this is just a nice, easy way to make that happen, which I'm sure that you've learned. Same with you. You've learned over time that, hey, I'm taking my right hand, touching your shoulder.
Absolutely.
It's all the same thing. It's just
all the same.
methods.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just with manual therapy. When I work gloves all the time, and the main reason I do that is because I got the flu this past January and I was like, never again.
Okay. Yeah.
But I feel like it also, I don't know what it is, but like once those gloves come on, it's like my professionalism turns on.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
There's definitely something like that out there for sure.
And it's also letting the person know that you're respectful of them and, all those things.
Like letting them know, like you're with someone who's licensed and professional.
Yes.
And that goes big in my thing, that guy I talked about earlier in California that does Bodywork, when he stretches, he mostly only works on female bodybuilders.
Okay.
And so when he's stretching somebody, he does, I call it the Keanu Reeves. When he's stretching somebody, he looks away. He's always like if he's gonna like stretch your hamstring, like imagine someone's leg is right here and you're stretching their hamstring. He like looks away like this. And like I noticed it in his videos, and he never like addresses it or talks about why he does it, but I noticed it at me being someone who's licensed, and I was like, that's smart. Right. So then,
why do you call it the Keanu Reeves?
Because have you seen Keanu Reeves take pictures of people?
No, I guess not.
When he takes pictures with fans, he purposely hovers his hand away from their shoulder. Stuff like that. Or he has his arm behind his back out in public.
Oh, he's like real respectful of touching people and things.
Yes.
Okay, got you. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. My thought is that he's like stretching people wearing like a trench coat, like
John Wick coming out here.
like John Wick.
Yeah, I mean that's my thought. You know what I mean? Like Matrix style or something. He's got some sunglasses and a long leather jacket.
My boy is the massage assassin, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Dodging all these bullets out here.
That's just what I think of. I don't know. Keanu Reeves, I think of that, and then you remember that movie Hardball?
Oh,
do you remember the movie Hardball?
That
was like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid.
Okay,
but that's what I think of when I think of Keanu Reeves. I don't know,
but no, he's become very popular for being very respectful.
Okay, interesting.
And so that's why I call it that.
I got you. So do most people come see you because of an injury?
Usually, yeah. A lot of I see a great deal of either focus sessions or athletes, you know, so it could be, you know, I was doing dumbbell curls, but like, I feel like I did tore my bicep, you know? And so a good form of manual therapy might be I have them hold a resistance band and then perform a dumbbell curl with the resistance band, but then I get the scraper and I scrape right here at the same time as they're performing the action. You know what I mean? Or just put cups on and have them do that at the same time too.
Right.
You know, try both, you know what I mean? And so that's where I get to have a lot of fun in my job. It'd be like, okay, well, we can throw this modality at it. We could throw that modality at it. Let's try this, cups. And then you're probably 9 times out of 10 going to walk out of there being like, wow, okay, I'll have more
feeling much better.
Yeah, what the heck? Wow. Okay, yeah. So,
And are there a lot of preventative, applications as well, not just like recovering from injuries?
Definitely. Yeah. Like I call it maintenance sessions. You know, if someone's coming to see me for regular work, a good example would be TMJ. That's TMJ. You ever see when people chew too much and they get sore or tight jaws or it clicks right here? So this is like the TMJ right in here.
Okay.
And so they call it TMJ, I guess disorder in a sense, but like it's just a lot of pain going on in the jaw. And at Sanjak, they taught us how to actually put a glove on and go inside the mouth and massage in there. I can do that. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
How interesting.
Yep.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I mean, neither.
It's wild.
Yeah.
You get clients for that?
Yep. I do.
Oh my gosh, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. So
What causes that? Just
it could be chewing too much gum. Maybe I should stop. No. But like chewing too much gum is definitely one of them. Yeah, for sure. Just overuse of the muscle, right? Like you ever heard of overtraining?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You know, so like if you overtrain your biceps, you'll definitely feel it. So it could just be overuse, and a maintenance session might be like, the first time you come see me and I do it, I tell everybody when I do it for the first time, like your eyes are gonna water, like just letting you know, like it happens, and please don't try to bite me. And so I go in there, I do it, and then the first time it's like usually if it's like the first time they're getting it, depending on how intense it is, they can't handle me like going in there for longer than like a minute or something, and then over time if they keep seeing me doing it, I can be in there for like a good minute and a half, and then they're like chilling, and it's like that's a good example of maintenance, like just showing that it's getting better, but you have to be consistent in coming and seeing me for it.
Sure, yeah. I'd like to wrap back around to kind of what got you started. You mentioned you had that injury, the supraspinatus, right, the rotator cuff tear, and you said it took a while for you to recover from that.
Right.
Tell us about what finally worked. Like what did work, kind of what clicked in your mind that got you really interested in this bodywork stuff.
Well, when I went to go see Kyle, he did this. It's kind of like a pin and stretch. Now that I think about it, but Terry's major minor group, right in here. You can put your thumb in there, and you can have at the same time while you're putting your thumb in there, you can have someone perform internal external rotation, and you kind of get this little pins and needles feeling in your ring finger and pinky. And it feels good and bad at the same time.
Yeah, like that good hurt kind of thing.
Yeah, you're like, I remember he did it. He was like asking me to like do this, and I was like, I was like, why? And but then afterwards, I was like, whoa. I was like, that was interesting. And then he took time to show me different exercises and different things that I can do, and I was like, whoa. So like, there's more to this movement and corrective exercise thing. Like when I was really into bodybuilding at a younger age, I would see some guys in the gym doing some of that stuff, like knees over toe, right, guy. And I'd be like, yeah, it's lame. Yeah. Where's the bicep curls? I was like, that's what I was into. I was like, I don't need that. I'm a 16-year-old kid. I'm fine.
Right.
And then once you get into something that's a sport that could be complex, even if it's like football, you still should do some form of like understanding like internal external rotation with the resistance band, with a light dumbbell. And then it's like everybody does this, right? You see people warm up like this, right? But like there's also little things like that might influence how you should do it, right? Like again, this goes back to the limb length thing. Maybe you doing it against a wall might be better. And it's so small. It's not even that big a deal, but it actually might make a huge difference for a certain individual, you know, and then somebody else might actually benefit from like having a leg up and having it be like this instead. You just never know, you know? So like you have to be your own experiment with movement. And when I started to be my own experiment with movement and I started to try to strive and have this dedication to feel better, I was like, wow, okay, there's a lot to this. And I really feel like I would be doing a disservice knowing all this and not helping people. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like Spider-Man, you know, when, what does he say about responsibility?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Uncle Ben.
Yes, exactly.
Sir. Yes, sir.
And then Tom Holland said it best. When the bad things happen and you don't act, they happen because of you. You know what I mean? So I feel like I have to, when I meet somebody and they're having like numbness in the fingers, I'm like, I can help you understand nerve glides and, you know, understand things like that to help give you that information. Whatever you do with it afterwards, if you discard of it, at least I helped, you know, at least I shared it, you know, and then whatever, if you decide to better yourself with it, that's awesome. And that's my goal.
Yeah. And during your sessions, you're obviously working through these issues, but then you're having these types of conversations with them as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, my sessions are never quiet. Can you imagine if it's just like, just like dead quiet.
Yeah, but like I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't stop at just fixing the problem. The goal is to educate.
Oh yeah. Even if it is like after or something, but I try to like, if I'm working on a specific muscle for a specific reason, I'll be like, well, you understand that your bicep starts in here actually, in your anterior delt. And people are like, wait, really? It does? I'll be like, people come to me a lot who sit at a desk or something. They're like, it's like always like, this starts like right here and it goes up to the base of my skull. And I'm like, you want to know what's funny? This muscle called levator scap, it starts right here and it goes up to the base of your skull. And I'm like, you're literally describing it, dude. Like, and then they don't know that that's like the muscle that like, that's what it looks like. That's what it does. And then I show them pictures and stuff like that on my phone. They're like, yeah, that's it. That's not the pain that I have. And I'm like, well, great. There you go. So, and then they go, okay, we'll fix it. I'm like, well, we're going to get there. We're getting there. Yeah. But yeah.
So how do you continue to learn and educate yourself now? Because it sounds like you're really into that, you know, that side of things.
Definitely.
You know, so what is your mode or what is your style of doing that these days, and where do you see that taking you? Because you are still so young.
Right, I have no idea. No, I'm kidding.
I just guess everything.
Everything is like, well, maybe that muscle does that. I don't know. I saw this on the internet somewhere. Yeah. No, I mean that is a good helpful resource sometimes. Like looking at people do body work on the internet and like, but seeing a professional do it, of course. And anytime I've always been taught, question something. Like if you do see somebody doing body work on the internet, look up who that person is and look up their credentials, right? Because if you may like what they're doing, but if they don't have the right credentials in place, don't take advice from them, right? So question everything. My mother is a professor of communications, and she always taught me growing up, Wikipedia is not a reliable source, right? So,
Never heard that.
Yeah. And so,
I love your parents. They're awesome.
They're a hoot, dude. But anyway, so I've always been taught question stuff, and so when you become a licensed massage therapist, you are told every 2-3 years you need to renew that license with continuing education. I've met some therapists that say, oh, I just take a couple free courses online and you'll be fine. It's like, I could take the lazy way out and just take a couple free courses or like ones that cost $30 or something. But I actually want to invest my money into my education. I just finished a rock tape certification for scraping. I'm taking a cupping course right now it's called myofascial decompression from a bunch of physical therapists that teach how to do loading with cups on, right? And so like, these are like $300, $500 courses, but you're investing, right? So then that's going to pay dividends back to me to be like, I understand how to help you recover better, as well as I'm going back to school. I'm going to be getting my associates in kinesiology. So,
okay. Nice. So you're just constantly on the lookout for ways to learn, whether it's a new certification, going back to school, a course that you found that's, created and given by actual professionals.
Yeah.
Not some Instagram, of course.
No, like, well, look at that. Well, if you do this stretch and and I'm like, okay.
I mean, we deal with that here all the time because you probably know, but in exercise, And diet is even worse.
Yeah,
you see all kinds of just straight wackiness.
Dude, low fat, high fat, keto, carnivore. It's like, I don't know. And then people are like, well, 1 week I'm keto, then the next I'm carnivore. And it's like, they just being a hamster on a wheel.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like,
and there's just all these various internet fads. And
stuff,
No. So where do you see this taking you? You know, you're taking all these courses, these classes, you're going back to school. Well, right now you work at 2 different places, right?
Okay, I do.
I guess tell us about that and then kind of where you see your future taking you.
So this kind of goes back to when I was in Sanjak. They do a great job at Sanjak kind of catering to everybody. They kind of teach you, the TMJ massage thing, or they teach you manual therapy. They teach a lot of cupping. They teach, they teach, they even kind of, one of the teachers, he's an acupuncturist. So he may talk about like Chinese medicine and acupuncture, dry needling. So like they cover a wide range of stuff for bodywork, whether you're somebody who just wants to go work at a spa, just to help people relax, or you want to do what I do, where I don't work at a spa. Sure. I'm not a spa guy. So I was like, I want to go work at maybe a medical office, like something like a chiropractor office, or maybe I want to go help out athletes on the field or something with sport massage. And they do cover sport massage at Sanjak. So essentially I was like, I know that that's sort of the direction that I want to go in. Let's just start there. And then when it started there, I was like, okay, we're at this chiropractor office. Okay, cool. And then kind of seeing more people and kind of understanding the different sessions, getting more experience. And then I was like, okay, maybe in the future, I would like to have my own practice, where I understand, like, maybe I just want to see people with more focused sessions. I used to say, I just want to see athletes. Okay. But that's so niche and it is a hard sell. I just care about seeing people and helping them in what I call just focused sessions. The sessions are just focused. I could work on one arm for 50 minutes if I really had to. Sounds like a long time, but I can do it,
If it's necessary.
If it's necessary, right. Exactly. You may not be a baseball player, football player, but you're everyday person. Maybe you were here, you have somebody here with you, and then you're like, yeah, this client of mine, he just hurt himself doing something, and Matt, can you just, work on him for 50 minutes? It's like, absolutely, come see me. And then the other thing that I want to do is shout out Dr. Matthews. I'm giving a lot of shout outs here. That's okay.
All good.
Dr. Matthews Integrative Wellness. He's one of the teachers at Sanjak. He inspired me to actually want to become a massage instructor. So in the next 2 years here, I'm going to be going back and teaching massage.
Okay. Yeah. And is that more of your long-term? So do you see yourself getting out of direct to consumer, I guess, and more into the teaching?
Yeah, I plan to do this probably till I'm about maybe 40 something, if I'm lucky. Okay. Because I don't know if my hands will be able to take it that long.
Yeah, it's a tough job, right? It's very physical.
Right. So if I'm lucky, 40, and long term, just educating, being like, well, if you scrape right here, this is what happens. If you do this pin and stretch, this is how you help them. I just saw that myself. I really love to be an educator, and that's actually how I learn too. When I'm like taking courses, I'll like listen to something, I'll look at a slide, and then I'll read it back to myself as if I'm teaching it to somebody. That's how I retain information. That's how I learn best.
Right.
So, and I always passed exams when I do stuff like that. So.
And so you do see yourself having your own practice in the next few years, or no?
In the next few years, for sure.
Okay.
In the next few years, I would love to do that. That way I can teach, have my own practice, do that for a while, but then eventually the teaching is going to take full time.
Okay, gotcha. And what are the offices that you work out of now?
Right now, you can come see me at Bergeson Chiropractic over in Friendswood. You can also come see me at Back by Blackman over at NASA. Okay. And I'm there Monday through Friday, 1 to 7. So, yes.
Nice. Very cool. And you do, they're 30 minutes, they're an hour?
Yeah, it's either 1 hour or 2 hour sessions.
Oh, wow. 2 hours? Dang. Sean, what do you think about 2 hours with that torture device?
I'm down, bro. Like I said, bro, dude. It sounds like my off days, dog. Like,
yeah, man. It's an interesting time. At school, it sounds messed up, and in school they teach you, when you're doing a 2 hour, they teach you like kind of divide each body part by time. So it's like, okay, 50 minutes on the leg, on this leg, 50 minutes on that leg, 50 minutes. And it's like, that's kind of a weird sadistic way of looking at it, but okay.
I mean, it really should be like what the person needs, like you said. Exactly. Most of your sessions are what you call focused sessions, where you're focusing on one thing at a time. I
learned real quick, once you get in the field, you do not do that. You don't. If anything, it's more like, okay, well, I have to stop and like be like, I can't do that with this person because like they really just have something wrong with their hips or something wrong.
Especially
with
for you, because you said most of your clients are coming to see you for actual, like whether it's an injury or a nagging pain, it's not this general feel better.
No,
it's I want to work on this one thing, and so it's your job to make that one thing better.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not to say that I can't do relaxation or whatever.
Sure,
it's just not my thing.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like it's like when you come to me and it's like, dude, like I don't know what I did, but like this numbness just won't go away, and it's like, yeah, I can. Let's go. Let's work on it. Let's figure it out. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I like that way better, you know, because the goal is to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's like a puzzle for me. I was explaining this to my dad. I was like, I don't know if it's a guy thing, but I feel like as males, like we kind of like always have to have a puzzle to solve, whether it's like fixing a car, right? Or it's like helping somebody with personal training, helping somebody like get that numbness away from their hand. It's just, you have to have some sort of puzzle to solve. And it's like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it is a male thing. I don't know, but yeah.
No, that's interesting. I mean, it is
I never
funny.
really thought about that.
Yeah, me neither, but it is true because whatever's in front of you, and you're just using your experience and the education that you have to find the right puzzles that you're able to solve. Like, I'm not able to solve the same puzzles as you are. And you and I cannot solve the same puzzles as Sean.
Absolutely.
Right? So we all have our own puzzles that we're trying to solve through our own experience and education. So I like that a lot.
Oh yeah. And that's what makes us all, and that's what makes life fun. It's like, you're so good at this thing. Like Sean can take awesome portraits. He can look at the setup, dude. This is dope. Yeah.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man.
Because whenever I was doing videography, I did a couple podcasts. My setup was not as professional. So this was like, it was like, I walked in here like, dang.
Yeah. Well, it didn't exactly happen overnight. But.
Yeah.
No, some of my first like early stuff, dude, it was nothing. Like it was like one camera, like one mic, one of everything, you know. And definitely. The puzzle came to me after a while, and I started putting pieces together, and we ended up here. So
that's what's up, dude.
We are completed. Well, I'd like maybe the puzzle is almost complete. You always want to be adding to your puzzle.
Absolutely.
Yes. You always want to be learning something new.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's never totally done.
It came up with my dad because I feel like as you age, you kind of like want to look around the house for what's breaking down. And that's kind of how I thought about that. Like, I guess like whenever I get older, if I have a house or something, it's like, well, like you look outside the house, like, well, I guess I need to fix that. I don't have the time. Oh, I guess this needs fixing too.
There's always something.
There's always something. It's like, and it's like that's a common trope, right? And so
Well, Sean, do you have any questions for Matt before we kind of wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I have one. So with what you do, it sounds like you can be very, very technical and like sort of just like going over people's heads a lot. So my question was gonna be, do you find yourself like overwhelming people with the information that you're giving them? And then if so, how do you kind of like make that information more accessible to the person that you're working with?
Good question.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I'm a big proponent of don't talk at people, talk with people. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, you can't really be like, well, this is what you need to do. It's like, maybe this is what happened and this is what caused this pain, but maybe if you just adjust this, maybe you'll see an improvement, you know? And so it's really kind of just being very human with people, taking out, because like someone comes to me with something specific and I do see myself sometimes wanting to become a robot and kind of be like, well, I understand that the levator muscle, this is the function of what it does. And But then I have to like, okay, breathe. It's like, okay, you're fine. Understand and kind of mean them. It's like, well, you know what's funny? Levator rhymes with Darth Vader. So that's how I remember this muscle. I love that. It's like, that's how I remember it.
In my head was like elevator. So it's like,
elevator. There you go. Yeah. There's these muscles right here. They're called platysma, right? You ever seen a turtle smile?
No.
So like I call him guitar string. Yeah, so you're doing it. Yeah, you guys can't see him, but he's doing this. Yeah. So in Sanjak, we had a teacher, and it was really funny. He goes, "This is how you remember the platysma." He would go platysma. Yeah, so he would just do it like that.
And now
so,
you never forgot.
And now I never forget it.
Yeah.
And so there's actually a good pin and stretch technique to stretch out the platysma, and I'll never forget how to do it because of platysma. Like I was just never and I tell that to my patients. I tell them, I'm like, oh yeah, platysma, and then they start laughing, and then it's like they'll never forget it either.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's how I like to pass on information. There's a muscle in your low back called QL, right? It's in the shape of a pizza slice. So I tell people, yeah, it's in the shape of a pizza slice. That's how I remember it. It makes me hungry every time somebody comes to me with low back pain, you know? Yeah.
It's called a mnemonic device. Is
Oh,
for remembering something.
Kind of like adding like humor to kind of remember it, or just anything to associate.
Like if you associate one thing with another to help you remember.
That's
called a mnemonic device.
Right.
And my favorite mnemonic device is how I remember how to spell desert versus dessert.
Okay, how do you do that?
Dessert has 2 S's. It has more S's because you always want more dessert. So dessert has 2 S's. Desert only has 1.
That's awesome.
So there's lots of mnemonic devices. That's just my favorite one.
Yeah,
so I figured I'd share. But I really like what you said because the same thing happens here. Most people don't care about the technicals.
No.
They just want to feel better.
Yes.
Same like if Sean for photography. Most people don't care about lighting theory
at all.
They just want it to look good.
Yeah, they just want the. Yeah, they just want
It's the same thing in fitness. They don't want the technicals. Some do.
Some do.
And it is important as a professional to know that. So, because we get a lot of engineer types, you know, the engineer types, they want to know. So it's important to be able to explain it. But what makes a real professional is being able to explain something very technical in lay terms, easy terms. And that's what shows you as a true professional. Because 1, you need to make it make sense to people.
Yeah.
And 2, most people don't care anyways, right? So they want it to make sense to them as well. They don't care about the technicals. They just want to move better and lose weight.
Yeah,
right?
Truly understanding what this person in front of you wants to even know. Like, because you can overload people so easily. Like if I went in, I have a Sony A7 IV, the Tamron 28, their eyes start crossing. It's like, like, I just want some pictures, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
So it's just like,
they don't care about focal length, ISO.
So, exactly.
You know, they just want the picture to look good. And same with your field. They, you know, some people do, but for the most part, like you just need to understand it and put it for them in ways that they understand and then make it work.
In most medical settings, and when you go to learn massage, you have to remember like C1 through 8 and L1 through 5. You're already getting bored, right? It's like, okay, cool, dude. But like how I remember it is breakfast at 8, lunch at 12, dinner at 5.
Okay, nice.
There's 8 cervicals, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar.
Oh, wow. Dang.
See, mnemonic device.
I like that. Yeah.
So like, and I've actually explained that to a few people, you know, and they talk to me because like, they'll be like, oh, I have a bulging disc or something, or I have something going on up in C. Is it 2 or 3? Is it 1 through 5? I don't know. It's one of you're the expert. And then I tell them that, and then they're kind of like, I never thought to like think about it like that. Well, that's interesting. And then get the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
And there you go.
Well, if you're still listening here at the end, put your favorite mnemonic device in the comments.
Yeah. Put your favorite.
I'm very curious.
For real.
All right, man. Well, anything else that you want to cover before we kind of close up? Do you want to? Athletic Bodyworks is your
my
Instagram. So, is there anything else you want to share or say before we close up?
You can follow me at Athletic Bodyworks on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. So I'm posting not all my sessions, but a large portion of my sessions. I like to share techniques because I'm nerdy, you know, but I like to share that kind of stuff. Just give me a follow. And if you're interested in getting body work done to help you move better, feel better, just hit me up. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit up Matt if you need some body work. Hit us up if you're looking for some personal training. And we'll see you next time. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Peace out.